I'm telling a story about Greenland, and I've been on this journey for 30 years. And you look at me and you go, why are you telling this story? And I have my connection to Greenland is through my grandfather. He lives in Greenland in the 30s, and he worked for Royal Greenland Trade, I think it's called in English. And I grew up with stories about Greenland. I grew up in my grandparents' house, which was full of things from Greenland and fairy tales, the hard weather, and of course, my father complaining that he never saw his father because he was in Greenland or working very late at the office in Copenhagen, which he became a vice president of later in life. So 30 years ago, I went to Greenland. And it's very expensive to go to Greenland. There's no roads. So I went through an organization that had planned sort of like some trips, and we went on a dog sleigh trip and so on and so forth. But in my heart, I wanted to meet a shaman, a Greenlandic shaman, because I heard about in these storytellings as a child about Greenland. They called it in Danish in åndemaner, which I think is a much better name than a shaman. So I wanted to connect with somebody who could talk to the spirits and tell me about the real story of Greenland. And I went up there 30 years ago, and they were all laughing. I went to this little town where we were with the dog sled, and I was with this Inuit, and him and we were just alone on this dog sled. And I said to him, "But I really want to meet a shaman." And he laughed at me, and he said, "We are all shamans. It's not something that there's not somebody there practicing it, and it's like kind of an old rumor thing." And I was kind of disappointed, but I had an amazing connection with this guy on this dog sled, and the whole group was way in front of us, and we were just kind of all alone, him and I, in this vast landscape of nothingness, uh, which is kind of overpowers you. And I learned a really, really hard lesson there because later at night, uh, I was on a scooter, and I was sitting in the back, and I was just having fun. I was holding on to the person riding this scooter, and the temperature just dropped 10 degrees minus, and you don't really feel it. And there you sit in the back, and I got so ice cold. And luckily, I had a chewing gum in my mouth because while I was inhaling this really, really, really cold air, uh, my by chewing the gum, I was somehow getting some hot air mixed with the cold air. Anyway, I got pneumonia. Why I'm telling this story is because uh, when I got well and I could put my clothes back on, which I'd lost so much weight, it took me 6 months to recuperate. I mean, pneumonia is a very very serious thing, and that's the thing with Greenland. I mean, that nature, if you don't respect it or know how to deal with it, it literally can kill you. So living in that kind of environment that is so harsh and can have such a life and death impact on you uh, is part of what I'm going to tell this story, because I have now found out a lot of stuff about Greenland in my research and over the years about that inner journey. And I have come upon the beautiful tale Mother of the Sea, which is going to be part of my storytelling. And why these storytellings are so important, because in these myths, there is a real lesson to understand to live in the harmony with nature. Even though we live in a modern society, Greenland is unique, and the fact that this uh, culture still exists and is allowed to exist and is supported financially to exist, with all the people living along the west coast in these little villages where you literally have to either go by boat in the summer. If you're lucky in the winter, you can go by plane and helicopter. And people live in harmony.